some of the core values that Chavez instilled were about service to others, sacrifice, determination, nonviolence, acceptance of all people, respect for life, the environment, and celebrating community through knowledge and innovation. We have to keep spreading these core values.
So I found Mecha, which was really influenced and founded off the principles of the UFW.
I personally have worked with AFSCME 3299, which is a labor union for the service workers across the UCs, for the dining hall workers, the groundsmen and women, the janitors and such, fighting for a fair contract as far as making sure that their wages don't get cut, their health care, things like that.
Reading more into history and like also hearing stories from my father about the farm worker movement, you know, realizing that it was a coalition. It wasn't a Latino issue. It was you know, a Latino and like Filipino issue, and it affected them both. And I think that's important to me to see how I can start to build coalitions, how I can start to see myself in other community members, how I can start learning about different cultures, maybe not of my own or that I identify with, but because we share maybe a piece of a common struggle.
I think revolution and activism can also take different forms, like issues in Palestine, for example, or even here on our campus, like protesting against tuition hikes.
I'm doing, and like other people that I'm around are doing like this work around like these different things, like for instance prison abolition, and people are doing things around food justice, and people are doing things around systemic racism in the university. And it's like, I think about what does the farm worker movement have to do with that? And it's like, it has to do everything with it, because all these things are entangled with each other.
And I mean, it really all comes down to the UFW and what I've learned from them really got me involved into working with food systems. And this year I've been working on a project with doing food procurements with dining, going through checking the transparency and trying to buy locally and directly from farmers. Yeah, it has really given direction to my academics.
Right now I'm really focusing on access to higher education and working in our communities and working in high schools and empowering adolescents who have almost fallen out of the public school system.
With Rainbow Outreach, we have student collective that is in college right now, and they get to travel to under-resourced neighborhoods and encourage high school students to pursue higher education.
Another thing that I'm really proud of and what I do is I'm a spoken word artist, and I think art is a form of resistance and is an act of resistance. And actually, when you break down the word resist, zis comes from the Latin word sistere, I think that's how you say it, and actually means to stand up, and re means to do again. So when talking about resisting, it means standing up over and over again, or to rise over and over again. And that's something that our communities need to continue to remember when we're doing these things. And through my spoken word, it's a way of empowering and making sure that my voice is heard. So.
Hello? All right. Welcome, everyone, to the 11th Annual Cesar Chavez Convocation. My name is Jose Flores.
And I'm Elisa Aquino.
And we are the leads for this year's event. On behalf of the Chicano Latino Resource Center and the College 10 CoCurricular office, we want to thank everyone who made their way here.
Before we start, we want to go over some general housekeeping rules in order to keep respect for our speakers and everyone around you. Please switch off your phones to silent or feel free to turn them off as well. Second, we encourage taking pictures, but please, it would be great if you could turn off the flash.
We will also be emailing out an evaluation after the event, so keep an eye out for an email. If you need to use the restrooms during the event, they are located to your right in the College 910 dining hall. We must stress, however, if you do need to use the restroom, please do not enter the dining hall and eat the food. And lastly, if you must leave the event early, please be courteous to those around you and exit the door on your right. The doors close very loudly, so in exiting either towards the dining hall or the room itself, please shut the door lightly. And now to give a brief welcome, we'd like to present Interim Provost for College 910, Cam Leeper.
Hi, this will be brief. I just want to welcome everyone. As you just heard, this is the 11th annual Cesar Chavez Convocation, and it is being sponsored partly by College 10 co-curricular programs, and as well also by El Centro Chicano Latino Resource Center. As far as College 10 goes, one of the folks that's been involved in this program, this convocation since the beginning, is Jose Reyes Olivas. And Jose was mentioning to me before that he got here about 11, he started working with us, joined us happily about 11 years ago, and this is one of the things that he's enjoyed and felt most pride in accomplishing each year. So without further ado, let me pass things on to our next speaker.
Before that, we'd like to continue on and thank all the sponsors that helped us put on this event.
The Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, the Office of Dean of Students, Office of Diversity and Inclusion, Community and Resource Empowerment, E², Porter College Senate, Kresge College Senate, Crown College Senate, Merrill College Senate, and Cowell College Senate.
Stevenson College Senate, College 8 Senate, Oaks College Senate, Students Informing Now, Hermanos Unidos at UCSC, the Women's Center, the Lionel Cantu Queer Resource Center, the American Indian Resource Center, the Asian American Resource Center, the African American Resource and Cultural Center. And of course, all the interns and volunteers without whom this event would not be possible. More than anything, we've learned that it takes a community to produce an event like this.
The Cesar Chavez Convocation is an annual event that is held to honor the memory and struggle of Cesar Chavez, a civil rights activist who fought for the social justice and labor issues of farm workers. His tireless work, including the development of the United Farm Workers Union, continues to affirm his lifelong battle to ensure that farm workers were union represented.
His courage and commitment to justice and social change has inspired generations of activists across the nation and continues to do so. The convocation's goal is to bring speakers who we feel exemplify Chavez's legacy and are inspiring future generations to do the same. With us today, we are honored to have 3 speakers, all of whom have impacted each other's lives and demonstrate the intergenerational legacy of Chavez's work.
Our first speaker tonight, Daniel Nane Alejandrez, is the founder of Barrios Unidos and the mentor of our keynote speaker. Please help me in welcoming Nane Alejandrez.
Muchas gracias. Le damos gracias a Tata Dios por otro día. We thank the Creator for another day. You know, It's been an interesting day for me today. And I'm going to share a little bit before I start. Going on 37 years living here in Santa Cruz. And when I first came here, it was weird, and it was like, I ran into these, as they call it, hippies and skunks and deer. And I'm coming from the west side of Fresno. There's only black and Latino or Chicanos in all the neighborhood. And the only times that the white dudes used to come in there was to score or to arrest us. And when I came to Santa Cruz, it was like, it gave me an opportunity to deal with all my isms that I've had, that I was raised with. So, after 37 years trying to do something, let me just tell you my day-to-day. I'm on the corner of Broadway and Ocean, and there's this guy with a sign. I couldn't even read the sign. He just had a bunch of garabatos. And he puts his shades on. I got my shades on, and we're looking at each other. He's looking at me, and he goes, and I go, and he looking, and then he goes, I guess, so I just smiled at him. I gave him a big old smile, and I said, "Órale." So then I go over to Pacific Avenue, and I'm getting some tires for my car, and this guy tries to cut me off, and he's pissed off, and I threw him a kiss. And he just kind of looked at me like, I says, "Have a good day." And so I'm coming over here because one of my favorite people is speaking tonight. And I'm coming over here, and I got time, I cross Highway 9, and there's a car parked stopped right in front of me. And I come and I stop. I don't want to hit the car. And I see this big old red truck coming behind me. And I said, "Ay, chingao, me va a pegar." And he just comes and boom, rams into me. And I'm going like, oh. So my back is not doing too good right now. But you know what? It's Dia de Gracias. You give a blessing that you're here today, that I'm here today. And, it's got a little pinched nerve or something going on, but man, the dude messed up my truck. And for those that know me, I'm a lowrider at heart. I always love cars. And get to the point in terms of why we're here, it's because Cesar Chavez had an old Chevy. Cesar Chavez had an old camioneta that he used to take his familia to different places, following the crops and stuff. And it reminded me a lot of my jefito. Because we had an old camioneta and we used to follow the crops and stuff. So tonight, I had prepared something, but that accident really threw me off. So I'm just going to go ahead and just talk a little bit, if I may. Because there's a lot of things that this gentleman, young man, that is coming up later has inspired me to keep going after years and years and years of organizing. And sometimes you do want to give up. And I know a lot of people that started with me a long time ago gave up, got comfortable, are doing, raised a family. And there's very few veteranos out there working on what we call nonviolence and to stop the violence and gang violence in our streets. And that's what my mission has always been, is how do we stop the violence? You that are here today, tonight, you're the blessed ones. You are the ones that made it here. So whatever you do here, don't take it for granted like you got yourself up here by yourself. Somebody died for you to be here, to be able. So I understood that from the very beginning, that there was people ahead of me that were paving the way for me to be here at this university. So I always tell, yeah, you can do your little party and all that, but there's always tiempo for that. You come here to start because we need you. They are locking us up like crazy. There are more people in institutions than there is in institutions of learning. And I want to give, my jefito always told me, if you go somewhere, you take regalitos, okay? You guys know about regalitos? No venga solo. trae algo, trae un taco, trae una papa, algo. My jefita said, ¿para qué vas de allí? Más de pidiche. So I want to send one of my brothers that I work with in the prison is doing life in prison. And he's a great musician, great artist. And he sent me these regalitos for Cinco de Mayo. And I couldn't wear them all, so I said, I'm going to just share them with you. And this brother's doing life. And if you get two, pasarlo a tu neighbor. You know, but again, es porque we do this work because it gives us life, and it gives us another chance to do something. Cesar Cruz, I was telling somebody, if you're going to name your son or Cesar, he better do something. And this brother has not let that down. There's going to be other things said about him, but I want to say something personal about my young brother. You know, he calls me my maestro, but really he is my maestro. And it's an honor that today to call us maestros, because before we got a lot of names. They call us a lot of names, you know. But when they call you maestro, it's that someone's giving you respect, you know. And when Cesar calls me maestro, I honor that. And what can I do to live up to that? But those are also you that know in terms about the gang violence that's happened in our streets, and been doing this for a long time, trying to create some peace. And there's many people that try to write about what's going on between the North and the South. And let me tell you, I've worked with a lot of authors that have written a lot of articles about gangs. There's even some that started to write about prison gangs, and then when they got the pressure, they put their pens down because someone said, if you write that book, you know, we're going to send somebody to come see you. And they were scared, and they put it away. And some of those people are running around us. But when I saw Cesar, and he wrote that book, Bang for Freedom, and he came and he wanted to talk, I said, bro, if you write this book, you be my hero for the rest of my life, because you need to tell the truth. And that's what he did. He went very short, but told the truth that many would not touch. And up to today, there's not very much out there in terms of trying to deal with the issue of North and South and the prison gangs. But people, when you talk about prison gangs, it gets into a whole different, another thing. But Cesar has been able not only through that, but to live that, to live what Chavez was telling us a long time ago. Hazlo, hazlo, hazlo. Don't give up. He encouraged us to keep doing it. And I had the honor to sit with Cesar Chavez and talk about nonviolence and the resistance in Big Mountain, Arizona, about the relocation of our indigenous grandmothers from their native land. And to sit with Cesar Chavez, and to be there, and to how humble he was, and that he believed in nonviolence. He was telling me, Nane, you're on the right path. Keep doing that work. Keep doing that work. He didn't really tell me how to do it. He just said, you just keep doing it. So go, you know, a couple of tools, and go out there and do it a la brava many times. So, and this is what I see Cesar and a lot of other young people. There's so many young people here today that you're taking that step, because all of us have had some kind of assignment, and we do that. Take that assignment, and you take it, and you do the best you can. Doesn't mean you're going to get it right. There's another carnalita here that's been here since when I came here in 1977, she was already here. Sheila Rodriguez, will you stand up? That's my homegirl right there. Me and this girl right here, we put on car shows, we put on, Chicano art shows, and she's still here. I said, not too many people hang out that long. And so she could tell you stories of a lot of things that happened in this campus. And you're carrying that on. And so whenever you invite me, whenever you tell me to come up, I show up. And a lot of times, for veteranos, that's all we have to do is show up. Because there's a lot of people that are not coming through. There's a lot of folks that make it and they're gone. There's a lot of professors here that make it and are gone. You try to find them and you can't find them in the streets. So don't want to get into that, but all I want to say is that it's been a good journey. UC Santa Cruz saved my life. But Cesar Chavez taught me at a very young age that as a 17-year-old, he showed me how to stop the machines in the fields. It took 8 chicanitos, 17 and 18-year-olds, and by speaking to us, we were able to stop the melon machines for 2 hours. And it wasn't about the 2 hours, and it wasn't about the $1.95 raise that we got. It was about that he gave us something that as young people, we could do it. And I've never forgotten it. And when I feel down, when I feel like we're getting defeated, I always think back about that 17-year-old kid that, somebody, that Cesar had faith in us. Y creía en nosotros. And after my father died of pesticides in the fields, and my uncle died of pesticides in the field, my primo died of pesticides in the fields, I understood what Cesar said all along. And so today, to be here and to be part of this program was my carnalito. And the most important part of this journey has been the Women Nation. The Women Nation started with my mother that gave us that comida, brought us to life and gave us, and never gave up on her sons to continue. And so today, I get to introduce one of my nieces, Yesenia, to come up here and give you the palabra, because you've heard enough from me. So let's give Yesenia a big welcome. This homegirl is doing it. I'm so proud of her, so mucho gusto.
Okay, I still get nervous. I've been doing this since middle school, and I still get nervous. I would like to introduce Ricky Cruz. He's one of Cesar's students from Homies Empowerment, and we're here to represent him. This is our original shirts. Adelante.
And Homies Empowerment right here.
And we're proud to say it. How are you guys doing? Before I get started. How are you guys doing? I don't hear you guys. Yeah, Santa Cruz. Okay, we're gonna read you guys a little description about my old man. I got 2 old men right here, but I love them a lot. They have taught me a lot of things, and I am grateful to be here. Yeah, get the mic. All right. For marching 76 straight miles, a hunger strike for 20 days, Cesar has dedicated his life for fighting for justice. He was born in Juchitlan, Jalisco, Mexico, migrated to the United States at a young age with a single mother and a grandmother. He grew up in South Central Los Angeles and moved to the Bay Area to pursue his study. Cesar graduated from UC Berkeley with a Bachelor's of Art in History. For the last 20 years, he has been an educator. And to follow up, Ricky.
So He also co-founded the independent school Making Changes. Can everybody hear me, first of all? Sorry. So he also co-founded the independent school Making Changes out of his home and has sought to create autonomous education spaces. For the last 5 years, he overseen the Homies Empowerment Program, serving gang-impacted/involved youth in Oakland, California, which I was a part of. He is the author of 2 books, Revenge of the Illegal Alien, and as mentioned previously, Bang for Freedom. Currently, he is a doctoral candidate, first Mexican immigrant male admitted in the program for educational leadership at Harvard University. So amidst all, he is proudest to be husband of Jasmine and father of 3 children, Olin, Amaro, and Quetzali.
Before introducing him to come up here, I got some words. And I was talking, before writing this, I was like, should I just write whatever other people say about him, or should I just speak from the heart? And Cesar taught me that to express my feelings, it has to come from the heart. And he taught me a lot of things. He also taught me that to fit in, I have to just be who I am. I cannot change. And coming to this school, he taught me a lot. I wasn't ready, and he taught me to be ready. So I'm gonna read a little piece. Powerful, inspiring, amazing, un hero, my hero. Motivated, my viejito, my second dad, un gran señor, con respeto y poder. To our community, to our youth, the motivation of the youth. That old man who I love, who have impacted me for 9 years, and still to this point is motivating me to not give up. His life, my treasure. His words, my wisdom. The person that he is, the person who is going to get into your heart. Sus palabras, su sabiduría. Lo viejito is the knowledge that is going to push you to accomplish your own dreams. Because with the words we hear today, he is my role model, and he will be your role model. Glad to introduce a un gran tutor, un gran señor, a un gran papá, a un gran advisor, my old man that I love, Cesar Cruz.
Pinche desmadre.
Don't forget about adelante. Porque ya está subiendo la fama, ¿eh?
It's hard to just turn 40 and already be called an old man. Hijo de su maíz. I'm at a loss for words, and I'm your convocation speaker. Ya la regué. I'm at a loss for words because someone who I admire very much, my maestro, I'm going to call him Don Nane out of respeto, not out of age, porque está jovencito. And I was a lost kid. I was a lost kid in high school. I'm going to tell you about that in a little bit, si me dan permiso. And when I met this man, he probably doesn't remember because he's touched thousands of lives. And for me to share this space with him is a big, big honor. When I arrived here and I saw so many students organizing this event, I felt completely humbled and unworthy. If you've been a student organizer or an organizer from Santa Cruz who put this event together, would you please stand up for a second? I have no idea what it took to organize this in terms of sleepless nights, flyering, letting people know. And then I get here and folks are organizing chairs and these flowers. Nothing that was here before. And so it took amazing work to even get us here. And all I'm doing is running my mouth. That's it. So yo no hice nada. But I'm gonna share a couple of palabras. And what I decided to do, si me dan permiso, is to go a little intimate and get a little personal. I was raised that men are not supposed to cry. Who's heard that before? Pues no voy a llorar. No se crean. I decided that the best thing that I could do is to not be a front. That the best thing that I could do is to be myself for better or for worse. I'm not here to entertain you because you don't need entertainment. I'm not here to inspire you because you carry a spirit of resistance that our antepasados, our ancestors have been carrying for a long time. And so there's nothing new that I'm going to share with you today. Pero si me dan permiso de esta palabra that I feel unworthy to receive, I would like to share some things with you. Is that okay? No, I'm not going to strip. Are you able to see? Oh, todavía no está. I was supposed to cue, ¿ves? Ya la regué. I was supposed to cue the gentleman in the back, pensando que ya estaban imágenes y todavía no. Well, a good friend of mine, he's the principal of a high school in Oakland, California that I want you to meet. He's a Pinoy brother, a Filipino brother. His name is G. Reyes. And he always tells me that we are always in the process of becoming. And so en frente de ustedes, I, like all of us, I am a work in progress and in the process of becoming. And what I want to talk to you today is about leadership, about our comunidad standing up. And this is just one story, not the story, not a very important story, but just a story, and about 4 backpacks that I believe a lot of us carry. Now, as I share with you a little bit about these backpacks, all of us are given a certain reality. We figure out how to cope. Some of us are blessed enough to figure out how to be resilient. And then, if we listen to all of the signs, we find our life's calling. I stand before you very humbled to have found my life's calling, and I love sharing that, and I'm not embarrassed to share that because I know where I'm headed because of the people that have come before me that have already paved the way. So nothing that I'm going to say is new porque I'm just following mis antepasados. Does that make sense? So I'm going to ask you a favor. Would you go to elementary school with me? Go back to your elementary school days. Ay, güey. Traje, I just flew in, I went from Boston to Seattle, so me traje mi maleta y todo. Y no es props. I want to show you my first backpack ever, la neta. Y se supone que I should be ready, right? Pero como no soy performer, this is not a performance. Here's my backpack. Here's little Cesar. And don't imagine me this wide or this feo. Imagine me 5 years old and hella cute. Y yo, yo voy a la escuela. I'm in Mexico at the time. I'm in Juchitán, Jalisco, and over there el kinder se llama el Jardín de Niños. By the way, if you're an America fan, la puerta está ahí. No se crean. Puro Chivas. No se crean. No se crean. The maestro said, we got to unite Norte and Sur. We also one day have to unite Chivas and America, but it won't be today. No se crean. So, ya se me olvidó, se me chispoteó. So I'm going to school and I got my backpack. Y yo no sé qué traigo because why are you going to have backpack if ni te dan tarea? Pero ahí voy, talking to my abuelito que ocupo mochila. Y hasta es la mochila azul, eh? If you're not understanding the jokes, I'm not going to translate them. So talk to your neighbor, build comunidad, so you get the jokes después. We'll send you the transcripts. Pero on a more serious note, I was already carrying a lot, like all of you carry a lot. And when you show up to school, The maestros and the maestras, they mean well, but they don't always know what's inside of your mochila. Eso, si me dan permiso, I was learning some words. One of the first words that I learned was bastard. See, my father left when I was 2 years old. And before he left me a little regalito. I have 38 puntadas right here. And he came home from a really hard economic situation. Things were working really hard. So my mom says they were struggling. And he was self-medicating not only with alcohol, but with cocaine. And he wanted to deal with his pain by taking it out on my mother. My mother says I saved her life. No le creo. She's always saved mine. But my jefito, who was coked out, starts going on my mom. It's getting really heated. And my mom says I cried the biggest cry I've ever cried. So my jefito goes to the kitchen and he grabs a knife. And he decides, I'm going to give your son something to cry about. And he cuts off my hand. And you know, this is a 40-year-old hand, but it used to be a 2-year-old hand. And I didn't know that I'd use it one day to hold my own son. I didn't know that I'd use it to hold my partner's hand, to raise a fist, to write a book, to pick up a child. I didn't know. I was 2 years old. But one of the first words I learned is that I'm a bastard. When I was 5 years old, I just learned that Mami se fue para el norte. My mom left. She migrated, and to cross over, it was really hard to take a 5-year-old who wasn't going to make it through the desert, who wasn't as strong as she was. And I didn't know what she went through because there was a code of silence for many, many years. I want to fast forward to elementary school. I get to the United States. I get reunited with my mom. It's a big deal. I'm already 9 years old. Mi mamá working at a fábrica 6 days a week, and one day she doesn't come home. And the second day she's not home, and the third day she's not home, and I find out my mom's deported. I didn't know how to cook yet. I didn't know how to do a lot of things yet, but I had to figure some things out because there's no jefita at the house. My father's been long gone. I learned really quickly that I was perdido. I was lost. And I don't know why, but I was trying to assimilate because all my classes were in English. I was doing ESL, and I felt really dumb being who I was and speaking what I was speaking and wearing what I was wearing. Estaba confundido. I didn't have a language to explain what Doctora Ángela Valenzuela calls subtractive schooling, that the more years that kids spend in K-12 education, the more their cultura, their roots, their language, their identity gets subtracted from them. I didn't know. I was just experiencing subtractive education in the United States of America. And this is the one that really got me, is I became this country's illegal. And it brought a sense of shame. Yo no hablaba así. I put my head down and I bowed down. Yo tenía miedo. And we knew when to get on the RTD bus and when not to, and when to hop fences, what the migra van looks like. We understood it and we played our part, and that was me. This first backpack, one of my elders, Doctora Lilia Chavez, she talks about this first reality, this first backpack of your given reality. And so as a little kid, that's what I was carrying. But I don't want you to start feeling sorry for me because nothing I'm saying is new. You carry some of these things también. It's in your backpack. And the story doesn't end there. So I graduated, y'all. I want to show you my middle school backpack. Ya me creo hasta más, bien chingón. And it's on fire, not because I'm Alicia Keys and this girl's on fire, but because I like to burn stuff, ¿me entiendes? And this part I'm not proud of and I'm not endorsing it, but I thought, am I going to keep it real or am I going to fake the funk? And I've never been very good at faking the funk, so les voy a decir la mera neta. I want to show you one of my best friends. And you know, when you're about 10, 11, 12, 13 years old and you're trying to figure out how to survive, you get real close to Elmer's glue. Because you're coping and you're self-medicating and you don't necessarily have counselors that you can go talk to, or at least I didn't think I had them. And so I wish this wasn't being filmed because I'm not trying to advocate anything for young people, pero yo así me dormía. Y lo abría, the chemicals don't feel very strong, pero cuando me los metía aquí, adentro de la bolsa, yo me podía escapar. Ya no le tenía miedo a la migra, ni a la policía, ni a mi padrastro, ni estaba enojado con mi mamá, ni con la vecindad, ni con nadie. Y así es como me dormí en la noche. And this is part of my coping. We grew up next to pulgas and swap meets. And I don't know if you ever analyzed the toys at pulgas and swap meets, but there's two types of toys. For boys, it's what? Guns, G.I. Joes, and cars. And for the mujeres, what's the first doll? Barbie. ¿Para qué nos están entrenando? What is it that they're foreshadowing when we turn 18? Because when I look at East 14th and East Oakland and I see the grown-up version of the kids that were given the first toys, it's a manifestation of what we were being prepared to do. So I began to play with these, but they weren't toy guns anymore. And I was never a gangbanger by no means. I was one of those little wannabes. You know, I just wanted to fit in somewhere. And if I had grown up, I grew up in Los Angeles, but if I had grown up in East Oakland, these were my choices. We didn't have a lot of sureños in East Oakland, but you got black for Border Brothers, you got red for norteños, and you got to figure out what's going on because you need protection, because you're looking for familia, because you're looking for a sense of belonging. And so for me, this is the way I was coping. I was trying to fit in. The neighborhood I was in at the time was called Florencia Sur 13. Now, there's a lot of us that just cope. There's a lot of us that find ourselves at bars, that find ourselves procrastinating, that say we're finally going to forgive and be forgiven. We're finally going to make a change. So this seems like it's middle school, the coping, but a lot of us are always there. And we come back to it, and we go back and forth. The third backpack I never found. It found me. And if you notice the backpack, it's some handy-manny type stuff, some Bob the Builder, porque estamos en construction. And I don't mean we're building things because we do build pyramids. Check this out. We were building pyramids with no disrespect to white people when white people were still in caves, but now we can't pass the math. Casey, ¿qué traemos, raza? Like Tenochtitlan is still up, Machu Picchu is still up, Tikal is still up. We built that. It's in our DNA, it's in our veins. And so I didn't necessarily find my resiliency skills. I was just an angry high school kid going through a lot. And you know, this is a hat that I cherish. Just became a team that we had at UC Berkeley, a raza team called the Osos. But I didn't even know I was going to make it that far. But in high school, I would take out all of my anger on a curveball. Like curveball didn't scare me because I had seen other things. You could hit me with a 90-mile-per-hour fastball. It's nothing. And so that ball was coming, I'd hit the daylights out of it. And I began to figure out that I'm actually good at something. I want you to remember the day you figured out you're good at something. The hard part is there's not a lot of high school students in the audience. Where are my high school youth at? What are you good at? So what are you good at? Oh, you're not good at something just because they're the advisor? What are you good at? She's like, don't look at me like I'm a high school student. I'm grown. It's grown up in here. Estoy ciego, esas pinches luces me pegan, I'm sorry. Sorry for cursing. You're good at chemistry. What are you good at? History, Somero. What are you good at? Ay, Dios mío, literature. Hasta big words y todo. Ya sé que eres UC Santa Cruz. You just call me an essay or essays? Didn't the maestro just tell you? Don't throw me the middle finger, eh? No, okay, good. So I'm glad that y'all are answering, because who has been talking to high school students and you ask them, what are you good at? What answer do we normally get? We weren't born saying nothing. That got conditioned into us for us to feel less than and not equal to somebody. Something has happened in our lives where we felt less than. Híjole. One of the things that I want to share, with no disrespect to Cesar Chavez, but for me, someone who really impacted my life is this man, Tijerina. If you have not studied the life of Reyes López Tijerina, would you please raise your hand honestly? Look around, elders. Look around, young elders. They're not teaching our history as a graduation requirement para nada. Now, those of you that raise your hand, how many of you are college students? Keep your hand up. If you're a college student and you have not heard of Tijerina, I'm not blaming you, but I'm saying there's a lot of our history that isn't being taught. When I learned about this man who understood the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, that after the Mexican-American War, our land was supposed to be respected. See, 2 grandmothers ago, this is my abuelita Socorro. She passed away 4 years ago. But her abuelita was here when it was still Mexico. So I'm not standing here as an illegal alien. I'm standing here on ancestral land. And this man understood that, and he fought for the land. When I met this man in 1994, many years later, after he had been doing a lot of work. I met him at UC Riverside. One of the legends about him is that he was so feared and his voice was so feared that a lot of things happened in the 60s. You know, he had kidnapped a forest ranger trying to reclaim the land in Nuevo Mexico, and they had taken in his daughter and his wife, and he had to turn himself in because it was the largest manhunt in the history of the United States to try to find Reyes Lopez Tijerina. And there's a legend that says that they try to cut off his voice box. Now, I never asked him about that. I felt like I was not worthy to ask that question. But I went up to talk to him at UC Riverside at an immigration conference, and this is all he said to me. Mijo, usa tu voz. Usa tu voz. And I was a rancherito back then. I had my tejana, I had my bandana. I was keeping it low. You know, I was not talking like this. I was too shy. Audre Lorde didn't say this, but she should have. Your shyness will not protect you. Your silence will not protect you. Our silence will not protect us. And this is a time when we need voces and acciones, and it's in the room, it's in you. And when he taught me that, I started walking and talking a little different. And all of a sudden, I started finding napkins, and I started writing a bunch of things. I wasn't very good at English. I wasn't very good at Spanish. You ever get back your essays at hella red marks? Oh, my God. I was a tatara in 2 languages. Andaba bien mal. But I had ideas inside of me, and I started writing them, and they would write themselves with a little bit of tears. And I wrote one poem. And I remember, and I wrote it in high school, I was trying to wonder what's going on. ¿Me dan permiso to share it? You wonder why I drink, do drugs, steal, rob, and kill? You wonder why I never cared about your opportunities? You wonder why I'll never enlist in the service? You wonder why I dropped out of preschool? You wonder why we're always pregnant? You wonder why we're always broke? You wonder why we're always in jail? Well, I wonder why there's a liquor store on every block in our barrios. I wonder why the FBI and the CIA would want us addicted to crack. I wonder why if I steal a slice of pizza to eat in Strike 3 Killer, California, I get life in prison. But if I were Enron and I stole $1.9 billion, I would get a pardon. I wonder why they're still teaching us that Lincoln freed the slaves and not Harriet Tubman, and somehow Columbus discovered us. I wonder why News at 11 had my mother as a top story as a welfare queen when we all know that the largest recipients of welfare are these multinational corporations. America, I wonder how it is that you even blame me for the problems that you helped to create. I wonder. Don't you? Gracias. So, the first time I read that poem, it sounded like this. I wonder. I hella wonder stuff. Y me fui a llorar y me mié. Not proud. And I got tired of being called an illegal alien. And so I finally figured something out, and I wrote a little libro. And I titled it that because I got sick and tired of it. I was like, what if the illegal alien takes revenge on America? Y se lo mandé a Oprah, y qué descaro que she didn't put it in her book club. Yo soñaba and shit, I'm going to be on TV, and she's like, Cesar, why are you so anti-America? Well, Oprah, nunca pasó. And the reason I wanted to do that is I was sick and tired of our community being labeled and attacked every day. And when that fear is internalized, it silences the majority. And it turns us into a majority like South Africa, black. Here in Califas, Raza's the majority. But it created apartheid where we were not in power. Guess what's happening in the United States and in Califas when we don't even know who Reyes Lopez Tijerina is? They're not teaching us our history, so we're creating mental slavery. Híjole, we got work to do. Grito mucho, huh? Sorry, Ricky, man. And then we all go through our hard times. I used to hate the darkness because a lot of things happen in the darkness. And I never really understood this dicho. And but what I realized about a flashlight is that it can best be seen when you're in the darkness. And you can get a lot of clarity when you're in the darkness. It started to reframe how I think because I used to hate the darkness. I used to hate my drama. I used to hate my life. I used to hate what was going on. I definitely hated myself. I had low self-esteem. I didn't have a voice. I didn't have a lot of confidence. But it was in the darkness that I saw the light, that I found the light. And imagine when our people find the light. In Oakland, California, we say it's cookies. And what that means, it's over. Once we find the light and we know that we have a light inside and you start shining, it's over. It's over. So what is this convocation about? It's about you finding the light inside, us finding the light inside, and stop begging. We are not begging. We seek reparations. We seek a better society. We seek change. Y lo vamos a hacer, ¿sí o no? Híjole, that was the warm-up. So, my 3 llaves. Everybody got to have 3 something, 5 something. My 3 keys for me was I had to find my voice. I had to find my history, and then I had to go through a process of healing that is in books, that's not in books, that's in ceremonia. I learned some of that from my maestro, Nane. He taught me about sweat lodge ceremony, and I don't feel at liberty to talk about it publicly, out of respeto for the ceremonia, but we have been carrying ancient traditions that we've been disconnected from for a long, long time. I found myself speaking in a language from England called English, or Espanol from Spain, but I had no idea what Quechua, Tzotzil, or Nahuatl was, and so much of who I am has been removed from me and from us, so it was about reclaiming it. And when I started looking into books like this, Don Ruiz's The 4 Agreements, it changed my life. When I looked into healing the soul wound, I realized I've been carrying a legacy from my father, from my grandfather, constant cycles of violence. When is it going to stop? What has happened to the violent person inside of me? Who am I becoming? And looking in the mirror was a hard thing to do. Now, before I can show you the 4th backpack, I had to figure some things out. And I got a little regalito. And I don't know about you, but for me, Navidad was a big-ass deal. It's a big deal. Perdón my language. We didn't get a lot of gifts, but we came together as a familia for a little bit. We had some tamales and some champurrado. And if you ever got something, it was a big deal, like something other than familia. Because when you're little, they're like, we're together, pero ¿dónde está mi regalo? And this showed up in my life, and it started tripping me out. Because I got this little box, and you might not be able to see it, but it says hidden gifts. And remember I told you about my father? He's a hidden gift in my life. He really is. Because my father, he gave me the gift of leaving me. He stopped abusing my mother. He stopped abusing me. He had to go take care of himself. And it is tragic that he committed suicide when I was 21. But the best gift he could give me was to stop abusing me. And the best gift that I could give him was to forgive. My mother leaving me was really difficult. But in Mexico, I found my roots. In Mexico, I learned how to milk a cow. And if you've never tasted nata, you have no idea how delicious leche is. And hella thick, too. But you learn some lessons when you're milking a cow. And the cow looks at you sideways if you're looking at her babies. Like, cows are fast, y'all. But I didn't come to talk to you about cows. That'll be next week's Convocation Part 2. But I learned some things about my raíces, about respecting the land, about listening to my abuelito Angel, about being proud of who I was, even though the United States tried to beat it out of me for a while. For me, my mom getting deported, that was never a blessing from Migra. But it was important because my grandmother taught me to be resilient. Mijo, we got to stick together. And we got to figure out, teach you really quickly how to cook and how to do laundry, porque nunca sabes cuándo no voy a estar aquí. And it was always preparation at age 9. Si llega la migra, haces esto, brincas por la ventana. We knew the drill. Our people know the drill. And sometimes people feel sorry for us because they don't understand that if you build a 30-foot fence, I got a 31-foot ladder in my back pocket. I am returning home. Through the process of meeting Tijerina, learning my history, beginning the process of healing, I found myself. And the greatest gift I could give myself and that you can give yourself is to know thyself, is to find thyself, is to be proud of thyself. That no matter anything that I'm wearing, cosmetics, with no disrespect to what you wear, to what your hair color looks like, listen, the Great Spirit made you in the likeness of the Great Spirit. And you eliminate that light, and when you see that light within, you radiate. And you don't need anything else that this world can sell you because everything you have is inside of you. And when you find it, it's over. And finally, I went from illegal to knowing that I'm in my ancestral homeland. So I started talking differently. I started walking differently. Ya no estaba pidiendo permiso al gobierno. I was reclaiming the land. We are reclaiming the land, and we are trying to create another society. Are you with me? Ahí está la migra. I gotta go. Nah. So we go into this fourth backpack. This life purposes backpack. It begins to show up in different ways and in different angles. For me, having kids changed my life. So for me, having kids has taught me a lot. And one of the things that it's taught me is that I'm still a child. The reason I call my maestro, and I always will, I was taught to live with respeto. To live with respeto. And I'm a child of the Great Spirit, and I'm interconnected to everything, even though it's been removed. This is an image from a video that Bob Marley's son made. And it's this young man, this young warrior finding the phoenix within. The warrior within. Imagine when you find the phoenix within, when you find the warrior within, when you go face to face with your light, things start to happen. Part of my role is I've learned I'm here to be a pareja to somebody. And this person is not my property and I'm not theirs. One of the things that's really important, because we used to have hella drama when there were breakups. I didn't come to talk about that either, porque sí chillo. But my jefita always told me, mijo, when you came out the womb, you were only connected to one human being and they cut the umbilical cord. You are here and can live on your own. But it is beautiful to be able to walk on that earth with someone else. And I'm happy to report that 13 years, 5 months, and how many days? Yeah, 2 days later, aquí estamos. Very much in love, very blessed, and we have 3 beautiful children. Olin, Quetzal, and Amaro, que son bien tremendos, hijos de su maíz. Olin is in 1st grade, he don't pledge allegiance. That's another onda. I don't like titles, but I had to, Jose was teaching me in the back about, he's like, how come we can't identify a lot of Latino leaders? Nos da at least for me, nos da rancherismo. I don't like being called a leader or nada, but one of the things I have tried to be active. And I was living at a time, some of you were not born yet, and some of you were very active at that time, where we had a Hollywood governor in the state of California who was considered the most feared Hollywood actor. And it was a time in the area where I was living in Richmond, California, where they fired 400 teachers, when they eliminated every sports program, every music program, every arts program, and people didn't know what to do. So our community came together, and the kids marched 70 miles. And when they get to Sacramento, Governor Schwarzenegger refuses to see us. So 9 people went on a fast following the legacy of the maestro. And I'm going to tell you this, last year's convocation speaker nos regañó pero feo. Dolores Huerta was like, wait, Cesar didn't have demands when he fasted, but then she quickly changed her tune. She's like, but if you're going to have demands, tell him to fund Prop 98, and she was telling us all this stuff, and Dolores was pivotal in helping us win this victory. Now, how many of you speak Spanish? I'm going to ask you after the video to translate this for our Spanish-impaired friends in the audience. Ahí les va. Can we cue up the sound a little bit more? Estaba bien flaquito because we had gone 26 days without eating.
Estudiantes y maestros por defender el presupuesto para las escuelas del distrito de West Contra Costa comenzó con una marcha a Sacramento, llevándole un claro mensaje al gobernador, pero sin obtener respuestas.
Primero marchamos 70 millas desde la ciudad de San Pablo a Sacramento y marchamos con casi 70 niños. Llegamos al Capitolio porque ha habido tantos recortes al sistema educativo.
Al no ser atendidos ni escuchados por el mandatario estatal en sus exigencias por evitar recortes presupuestales que afectaran escuelas, un grupo de estudiantes se apostó frente al edificio estatal de Oakland en huelga de hambre, porque, dijeron, era la forma de tener una respuesta inmediata.
Pues una huelga de hambre no nomás es algo político, pero es también un movimiento espiritual. Entonces queríamos llegarle a la conciencia del gobernador y los legisladores.
Y lo consiguieron. Después de 26 días de permanecer en huelga de hambre, el gobernador Schwarzenegger les hizo saber a los huelguistas que destinará un presupuesto que refinanciará de inmediato la tasa de interés de un préstamo estatal al distrito de West Contra Costa. Esto quiere decir que con dicha decisión se regresarán $600,000 cada año al distrito escolar de Contra Costa. Una victoria, señalan, de esfuerzo conjunto que beneficiará a la comunidad estudiantil.
Y gracias a la ayuda de Dolores Huerta y tanta gente de la comunidad, en el día 25 llegamos a un gran acuerdo con el gobernador.
I'm going to pause it there. Somebody help me translate. Hace ratito there was like 1 million of you who spoke Spanish. ¿Qué ganamos? Y sabes que it was a victory, but it was crumbs. You know why? The prison budget at the time was $5.9 billion. And so I've never heard of California having an economic crisis, but I've always known that California has a moral crisis. It clearly funds prisons. It does not fund education because an educated mind and empowered people could be revolutionary. So it's important to understand that when we hear we're in an economic crisis, for who? Who's the one that's really struggling? And so for us to defeat the governor, I'm happy to report that they gave $600,000 every year to our school district for 15 years straight. And 3 years ago, West Contra Costa Unified School District was one of the first school districts in the country to not be bankrupt. It should be all of them, but that was a victoria for our comunidad. But that work wasn't enough. And what I realized is I wasn't an activist, I was a reactionary. I was reacting to the governor. I was reacting to Proposition 187. I was reacting to Prop 21. I found myself always reacting. And the maestro talked about a book that I wrote, but ¿saben qué? Books do not stop bullets. They really don't. And the maestro's right. There's books that makes people famous, and they get famous off of diagnosing poverty. They go on speaking tours all over the country, and they get millions of dollars, and nothing trickles back, nothing comes back to the barrio. So for me, I wrote that book because I needed it as a teaching tool for young people to know their history. It's a book called Bang for Freedom. But I didn't come to talk about that book. I came to talk about these young people. And these young people are in Nane's house. They're in Barrios Unidos. There they are with a mural of Cesar Chavez. We would come visit the maestro a lot whenever we could from Oakland, California. And they came to make their shirts, but they came to meet with a very young elder who was teaching them their history and later introduced them to ceremonia. Some of the young people here were introduced to ceremonia because of Nane. And so I stand on powerful, powerful shoulders. And Homies Empowerment is a baby, baby dream. It says it's 3 years, we're going close to 5 years, but we're a mom and pop operation. Barrios Unidos started in 1979. Homeboy Industries has been around for 20 plus years. We're babies. But I've been trying to learn from Nane, trying to learn from Father Greg Boyle, who was a convocation speaker. How do they do it? And how can we do it in Oakland, California with young people and with no disrespect to Homeboy Industries or Barrios Unidos, but how do we do it the way Barrios Unidos has done it on the land, independent? Because this nonprofit stuff is not working, y'all. Because when you're a nonprofit and then they cut off your funding, or you're a nonprofit and you start taking on the policía, the gobierno, and people start coming after you, está difícil. So Barrios has really tried to do it in multiple ways, and that's what we're trying to learn from. And what Homies Empowerment was trying to do is trying to help young people empower themselves who are trauma impacted. We evolved from saying gang impacted because to be in a gang isn't necessarily a bad thing, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. But we face multiple levels of trauma. In East Oakland, where we were at, we had 186 liquor outlets in our neighborhood and not a single community center open after 6 p.m. That is criminally violent. We had no raza studies, no African American studies, very few jobs, very few resources. That is criminally violent. And yet they blame gangs for the ills of East Oakland. Something's terribly wrong there. And we wanted to figure out what we're not, with no disrespect to charity. We are not charity. We're trying to build solidarity. And we're not about after-school activities. We're trying to raise a generation of activists. One of the things that we learned from Nane and my wife, so one time when we visited Nane, he showed us a design for the Barrios Unidos Center. It's near his office. And he's like, mijo, you need to get them to see it. You say to me little sentences y se me quedan toda la vida. Y mi esposa, mi pareja, she's an architect. Mexican immigrant, Jasmine, she's an architect. This is her designs for part of the centro. And we want to address not just post-traumatic stress syndrome, but permanent traumatic stress syndrome through healing ceremonies, through sweat lodges, through the knowledge of our ancestors and our elders who can hopefully pour water and teach us about our ways that have been removed. Some of the things that we were doing was to have gender círculos, to have raza studies, to have ethnic studies. And for 3.5 years, every Wednesday night, rain or shine, we had something called a homies dinner, where young people from different neighborhoods came together. And some of the things that we truly valued is some of the gang norms that we valued. We were really big into 6:01 p.m. 6:01 p.m. I've already talked about. That's by 6 o'clock, every after-school program is closed. So youngsters need protection. Who's going to protect them? The clica. Where are you going to go through a rites of passage? The clica. Where do you feel like you belong? The clica. And why do we keep beating up clicas? And why has nobody been able to stop clicas? Because oftentimes we don't understand what this does for young people. And we only see on the news the violence and the negativity, but we don't see the rites of passage and the sense of belonging. Imagine when young people learn their cultura and their roots and they stay as a community, as a fraternity, as a sorority. That's what gangs are, as hermandad, as sisterhood, coming together as a comunidad to take care of the barrio. Imagine what's possible. Now, I want to warn you, this is a video from the news, so no les crean, créanle a this much. Y the news try to highlight a hero, a person like that. Nane will tell you that his work has been the work of many people, of one of our young elders, Henry, and so many others. And so here the news try to give me an award. I don't accept the awards, but this is the work of young people, and I want you to see it for yourself, the kind of work that was happening in Oakland, California.
Want to create peace among rival gang members? Well, show them they're not that different from one another. That's what this week's Jefferson Award winner is doing. Sharon Chin on the man behind an innovative program in Oakland.
In a tough East Oakland neighborhood where gang violence is a part of life, there is hope.
Come and join us for the dinner.
Old rivals cook up new friendships under Cesar Cruz, co-founder of the Homies Empowerment Program.
It's really hard to kill someone when you know them.
Y'all ready?
Cesar invites sworn enemies to cook and eat side by side every Wednesday night at the YMCA on 45th Avenue. Afterward, there's food for thought, a message of peace.
You can be a peaceful gang member. You can be someone who takes care of the community.
Take Adrian Arias and Nestor Ramirez. They live in rival neighborhoods, but discovered they can find common ground. They share the grief gang violence can bring.
We can relate, like, the things that we go through, but in a different way, you know? They're gonna go through the same pain that we go through, and it's all the same thing, you know? We're just going back at each other, and it's never gonna stop unless we stop ourselves.
Cesar knows the vicious cycle. Before he became an educator, he grew up in a broken home and got in trouble with the law. He felt compelled to help start the Homies Empowerment Program 2 years ago at the East Bay YMCA, where he's on staff.
I average about 6 to 10 funerals a year that I attend. Most are open casket. I'm tired of it.
Today, he oversees more than 200 young people in the program who are in gangs or influenced by gangs. The president of the East Bay YMCA praises Cesar's leadership.
He has the passion and urgency of an activist, the knowledge and nurture of a teacher, and the skills and psychological appropriateness and modalities of a developmental psychologist.
He's come out in a lot of movies about norteños and gangs.
Cesar also teaches Latino history, not only at Homies Empowerment meetings, but also at a Rise High School in Oakland.
And what happens when I don't meet someone else's expectations?
Students say learning about Latino history for the very first time helps them dream big.
After you know that your race also has heroes,
That young
just like
man is
every other
organizing
race,
a dinner
then
tomorrow in
it
Oakland.
motivates you, and you know that it's possible.
And many students say Cesar is one of their heroes for making peace a reality.
Peace is happening in Oakland, and it's not just the stories of murder and violence. That's not the only thing happening in Oakland.
For helping Oakland's rival gang members take steps toward peaceful and productive lives, this week.
And so I share that because I want to honor 3 young people today. It isn't about honoring me. I saw you earlier, Norma. Where are you at? Norma, will you stand and stay up for a little bit? This young lady, I met her when she was in 9th grade going on to 10th grade, and she had seen a film, a documentary called Which Way Home. If you haven't seen it, it's a documentary about some of the young men and women who hop on the train from Honduras, El Salvador, and Guatemala to make a 3,000-mile journey. They made a film, a more Hollywood film about that called Sin Nombre. But Which Way Home is the real documentary. And young people like Norma saw it in an after-school Raza history class because we hadn't got it for graduation credit just yet. And she would come after school, and it impacted her so much that she mobilized her community, not me. She mobilized her community. And for almost 2 years, every Monday morning, she got up hella early before school to do a breakfast program for day laborers. And they were breaking bread together and organizing. And some people might say, pan dulce and chocolate is not going to change the conditions in our society. And that's true. But it provides a little bit of warmth and some connection with people and some solidarity because there's day laborers in all of our communities. And oftentimes they're posted outside of Home Depot. But we look at them like if we don't even notice them anymore. Like they're not our tios and they're not our primos and they're not our blood and they're not our relations. And they're just trying to find a job and survive. And this young lady was making changes. And so can you please give her some love? Este niño ya no es niño, ya es hombre. Ricky, will you stand up? Ricardo was a knucklehead, chinga. Oh. Pero como lo quiero. 4.3 GPA by like 10th grade. Pero no iba a la escuela. He was doing calculus at 6 o'clock in the morning, 11th grade year. And there's no calculus at Castlemont High School in East Oakland, so they had to find a teacher that would teach him. That's the genius that we carry. But the streets were calling, other things were calling, but he became a leader in Homies Empowerment and really started stepping up. And now he's finishing his 2nd year here at UC Santa Cruz. Respeto. Respeto. ¿Y dónde está la Yesenia? Hijo de, no soy tu viejito, ¿ok? Yesenia, she was 6th grade. 6th grade is when I met her. She's just finishing her 1st year here at UC Santa Cruz. And we went to go honor Dolores Huerta at this dinner and this baile for her. And Dolores can dance. Pero the elders and other folks, they were kind of embarrassed. So I bought a little 6th grader, Yesenia, and she takes Dolores on the dance floor. And you just saw the spirit being passed down. Here's 2 mujeres. Nuestra generación Dolores ahorita organizando la próxima generación Yesenia. Ahí está en 6th grade bailando con Dolores Huerta. And she was so excited to show that picture right now to Jose. And she carries that. And this has been a really hard year for her at UC Santa Cruz en Comunidad. I need you to see her and wrap your arms around her. We cannot let our people fail. We're not failures even when they give us Fs on our GPA or lo que sea. We were not born to fail. So let's take care of each other. Yesenia, mucho respeto. I'm about to close because my time's almost up, or in the back they might say, it was up like an hour ago. The images that are here that are hard to see are images of some of my classrooms over 20 years. And the hardest thing to do as a maestro is to stop teaching. Shit, I find people on the street, hay que hacer una clase. And most of the homeless people that I talk to in Cambridge, Massachusetts are white. Most of the people that clean the buildings are white. And I had to understand that we have a lot of commonalities that we may not be aware of. And something led me to that journey. But I kept seeing Ricky graduate, and he's leaving the UC Santa Cruz, and Norma's graduating, and Yesenia's graduating. And I thought, things are hard in Oakland right now. The gang situation is difficult. The police situation is difficult. There's a gang injunction. Nonprofits are not working together. I don't know what the heck I'm doing anymore. I need some help. And I also need to find some feria for this kind of work, because young people are telling me I got to sell my body. Young people are telling me I got to sell rock, I got to sell weed to survive, and I don't have any more feria in my pockets to give to them. And I said, something is wrong. Something is wrong when we're doing constant bake sales for everything that's meaningful, and these people got stealth bombers for the military, and they keep bombing countries all over the world with our taxpayer money. Something is fundamentally and morally wrong with our society. And so why would I even bother to go to the belly of the beast? I heard about this program at Harvard, and I was like, is there a raza Chicano study? First, there's no Chicano studies. There's no Latino studies. Is there a scholar that's doing work on gangs? Not at Harvard. And I said, let me go find some resources there, and let me bring them back to the barrio, or at least let me try. And I want to show you a little bit about what that journey's been like. And I just finished my classes last week, and humbly, este señor sin papeles just got a 4.0 at Harvard. 2 months.
My name is Jasmine Preciado. I am Cesar's wife. You can't put in words how proud I am. Harvard is
Did you raise it a little bit?
Throughout, internationally.
So it's a new program. It's only 3 years old. It's called a Doctorate in Educational Leadership. They only accept 25 people a year. For me, I just feel extremely honored that they've never had a Mexican immigrant male in the program. It just means a lot to our people, to our family, to my students, because it's like, oh, well, my teacher's going to Harvard. So my name is Cesar Cruz. I'm the co-founder of the Homies Empowerment Program. It's a program here in Oakland, California, an independent organization. I'm also the Dean of Students at Arise High School. A lot of our people come from kinships and tribal societies where we're united, we're a community, not this individualistic, Horatio Alger, survival of the fittest, one person at the top, no, communities.
He actually is a motivation.
That's Yesenia, but they changed their name for the video. I don't know why. Can I brag about your book? What we're working on is we're working on a book, and so what they're doing is they're peer editing. I want to celebrate their voice. So they're working on their bios, their stories, their journal, and we're calling it Youth Wisdom. As cheesy as this looks, I'll end with this. There's some hidden gifts that we've been given. Every single one of us have. Imagine when young people find their hidden gifts. When they look at their past, go through the process of healing and see it differently, man, a new world is possible. That's what we try to teach young people. This particular class, as hard as it's been, is my last class after 19 years. And I feel a duty to them to impart whatever I can, to leave whatever I can, and then they got to carry it out.
I feel so good because my dad is going to Harvard. I'm going to be going to school there.
My son is not dumpster diving, and sometimes, I think about how is he being raised, because he shows up to Harvard classes and he thinks this is normal. And maybe it's the new normal. And we've been fighting for education for a long time. I got this position because I'm able to accept high school students, and we just accepted the first student from East Oakland from Arise High School, Miss Lila, who's going to be joining us this summer for Harvard's summer program, and then hopefully as soon as she's a senior, she can come to Harvard as well on a full ride. Let's open them damn doors. What I try to do is talk about 4 backpacks. The backpack of our given reality, how we cope, how we begin to find resiliency, and then how we find our life's calling. But I don't want to end with my story. I want to end with a dream, this dream of homies empowerment. I want to show you a new video that I presented at Harvard. 12 of my students raised their own money to fly to Harvard, and they spoke at the Harvard Graduate School of Education. And this is part of the journey and the dream that they shared. This is the last video, and then we'll close. Hella dramatic. The last thing that I want to close with this is that right now there's pieces everywhere. But we need your support. We need our comunidad coming together. We need to find the warrior within, the phoenix within, the light within, the healer within, the counselor within. It's inside of you. It's inside of us. And sometimes everything feels like they're in pieces. But when a comunidad comes together, imagine that phoenix rising. That's going to be the Homies Empowerment Center. That's the vision. And I just want to thank you for this opportunity to address you. I humbly say muchísimas gracias. Que Dios los bendiga, a sus órdenes. And if you want to support what we're doing, drive to Oakland. Some people are. Tomorrow we have a big dinner at 6 o'clock. This woman named Michelle Cerros, who is an author, she wrote How to Be a Chicana Role Model. She'll be there, and she's donating her libros to raise money for undocumented students to make it to schools like this. Come and break bread with us mañana at 6 o'clock. I'm going to take the Amtrak. Ahí estoy. Hopefully you'll join us. Que Dios me los bendiga. Gracias. Can we do the unity clap? ¡Se puede! ¡Se puede! Eso, mi raza. Now we got time for questions, I think. I hope. And so I don't know how we're going to do this, pero aquí estamos. Well, they kick us out at 4 in the morning. So we only got like 7 hours.
Hello?
Yes.
All right, there we go. So as you all have on the seats that you're sitting on, there should be a note card and there should be pencils. So to speed up the Q&A process, what we'd like for all of you who have a question to do is to write your question on that note card and pass it to the end of the rows, and we'll have interns on the sides picking them up, and we have interns who will be asking the questions as they come in.
Hella coordinated.
So we have a couple of questions already, so as Cesar is answering these questions, feel free to write your own questions and pass them to the edge. Thank you.
Will you stay here and field them? Yeah.
Can we have the side mics on?
And while that's happening, if I can support you in anything, ahí está mi contact information. And so if I can help in any way, a sus órdenes.
Okay, so the first question is, what else do you look forward to after receiving your PhD?
You know, it's weird because one of my maestras, Doctora Lilia Chavez, she grew up on the northern side of town, and she used to be a chola, she used to bang. And she started an all-women's mariachi, and then she became a charra. And now she has a doctorado in psychology, and so now she's a doctora. And yesterday we talked on the phone, and she told me she's coming to the homies dinner mañana, and she's like, she called me doctor, and I felt very uncomfortable with that, you know, because titles have to be earned, and that's not a title that I would want to carry. But I think it's continuing to battle and continuing to learn and continuing to grow. I realized over the last 2 years that I have a fixed mindset. Sometimes I think like it has to be this way, and I've been learning and growing that, like the maestro said, I carry a lot of isms. I have a lot of prejudice inside me. So what I look forward to is to kind of closing my mouth and using 2 of these and listening more and being in the presence of elders of all ages and learning from them and growing from them and realizing that this is not about our movimiento, it's about an entire world and it's global and there's amazing people all over, and so I look forward to that. It's been an amazing journey already for the last 40 years. Y si Dios me da licencia for 40 more days or however many days, pues aquí estamos.
Second question is, what is the legacy you hope to leave behind through your work?
I don't think about stuff like that. That feels really awkward. I was telling Jose in the back, and later the maestro Nane, that this is really awkward. I think that te voy a esperar. Me hiciste pregunta. Me hizo, no te creas. I know you're busy. I know you're organizing. But if behind closed doors I'm cheating on women, if behind closed doors I'm a horrible father, what legacy is that? So all I want to do is be the best husband and the best father that I can be for the rest of my life. If I don't do anything else, I think I did all right.
Okay. Another question is, what were the greatest challenges you faced while obtaining your higher education?
Pues ya les dije un chingo de backpacks. No te creas. Sorry for cursing. In higher education, I want to talk to the undergrads. If you're an undergrad, on un fist. So when I got to UC Berkeley, I felt real mental because I went on academic probation. I didn't know how to study, and they make the UC system out to be hella hard. They make Harvard out to be hella hard. But listen to me. If you're able to read a book, if you're able to put your ideas on paper called an essay, if you're able to have a conversation called a discussion, you have what it takes to survive in college. Sí o no? Where are my graduating seniors at? No, that don't sound hella fierce. Where are my graduating seniors at? Am I telling the truth, sí or no? Nah, yeah, I don't sound convinced at all. He's like, he don't know. He don't know. But we go through a lot of self-esteem issues here because the people that I saw at UC Berkeley that look like me, they clean the building and they drive the buses. They weren't my professors and they weren't my classmates. And some of the people that look like me, I couldn't connect with. We had the same last name, but they came from a very rich comunidad, and no disrespect to their riches, but they didn't want to see what was going on right in front of them. And so I had to learn that not everybody who looks like you is your friend, and not everybody who looks different from you is your enemy. And I built really interesting alliances in college, and I learned a lot of things inside and outside the classroom. And as hard as the midterm was, listen, my mom, she worked in a factory 16 hours a day, and on her day off, she cleaned rich people's houses. This is not that hard. Yes, it's a struggle, pero sí podemos, and we've been through so much more, and we carry such a legacy. And if we stand on that legacy, what class is going to stop us? And when I realized that, ya no me callaba in discussions. I went from 0.0 GPA to 4.0s. I have not had anything less than a 4.0 for about 3 years. Because I finally found my voice. I went to get help in the tutoring center. I never gave up. You might be smarter than me, but you will not outwork me at all. If you assign a reading and I think it's messed up, I do that reading, and then I call the homies and I do the counter reading. So I show up double prepared for the discussion, and I be throwing them big words. Gentrification, I got some lines. And so, and all of these matrices, you know. Pero, you belong here, pero no se pierdan. You belong here, pero no se pierdan. And don't think it's about you. When I think it's about me, ya valió. Because you're giving regalos, don't believe they're yours. One of my elders, Teresita, she had these beautiful earrings on. And my wife complimented her. And she had had them for 30 years, y'all. Like they haven't passed down to her. Se los quitó y se los dio a mi esposa. And my wife started crying and she couldn't take them. She's like, Estas son cosas materiales. They don't belong to us. These accolades, this convocation, all of this, they don't belong to us. We're part of a legacy. We're part of generational struggle. And we're here to continue to change what's happening in our society. Acuérdense de eso and stop stressing so much. Get a little bit more sleep. Drink a little less. More water. Less beer. Stop hurting each other. What is it that Mecha doesn't want to work together? What is that? What is that? What's happening to my brown berets? What is that? We're so divided outside of us. I love the brown berets and I love Mecha. We are one people. And we might need to go see the maestro and say, Maestro, would you do a healing ceremony for our comunidad? Because we're struggling. And the only reason I'm airing our dirty business is because si no te lo digo yo, ¿quién te lo va a decir? Do not leave graduated hating every raza on campus because they did you wrong. When you have the tío that's abusive, he's still the tío. And we're too quick to jail everybody. And we're too quick to give up on everybody. And we're too quick to lock everybody away. He or she who is without sin cast the first stone. We as a community must figure out ways to heal. And I think that's key. And when we realized that we could come together as a comunidad, positive things started happening. It wasn't my graduation. It was my jefitas, my abuelitas, my comunidad, the barrio. You should have seen how deep we rolled on that stage. Desmadre, parecía desfile. And I gave my diploma to my jefita. I didn't have my name on it. It had my jefita's name on it. Who you think did all the work? Not me. So when you graduate, honor your jefita, honor your familia, honor your people's struggle, and be proud of that. Y sigan adelante. I'm watching you, man.
Next
I'm watching
question.
you.
How are you planning on teaching your kids about the struggles that exist, like the struggles you went through, without experiencing it from firsthand?
Está difícil because I realize that there's the preacher's kid, there's the activist kid, there's the movement kids, and I don't want my kids to hate their father. So when I was packing this real bag, my 6, almost 7-year-old Olin is like, Daddy, it must be nice to travel a lot. Así me dijo, and it really hurt my heart because I don't want to be away from them. I really, really don't. And I don't want to force them onto something. Like, I love baseball. So what do you think I want them to play? And he hates it. And what do you think I have to do? Just love him. Unconditional love, no matter what. Father G calls it no matter whatness. You steal a car, you do this, lo que sea, whatever you could possibly do. If I could give you agape. Agape is the Aramaic word called the Great Spirit's love. If I could just give you that, imagine the world we would create if everybody had that. And that's all I can give them. And yeah, poco a poquito, every now and then I'll read, like there's this book called Mexica, and they get all excited because it's a story about how Mexicas were created. Or Jerry Tello wrote a book about a grandma and her tortillas. And we pass down cultura through food and knowledge. And so I'll read these stories at night, but I don't want to force it on them. And I want to, if they're hella into Pokemon, I'm into Charizard, you know what I'm saying? So you got to follow where they're at and support them and love them and nurture them and never give up on them. And be careful as a parent. If you're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, do not parent. If you're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, halt that. Stop that. It's not their fault you're hungry or you're angry, you're lonely, you're tired. You got to know there's sometimes you got to give yourself a time out. And too many parents don't do that. So ahí vamos. You got me stressed now with that question. Nice.
Okay, well, this will be the last question. It's when
Pero ¿qué no va a haber after party? No, la mera neta, where's the reception? Oh, they'll announce it? You'll announce it? Juan, you gonna announce it? Ya, estoy watchando.
Okay, when dealing with youth who are still hurting from trauma, what do you say to them to lead them to the road of healing?
Can I share something personal? So, you were 13? That's when Ricky's mom died. And we were in a Raza Studies program after school. And his classmates would not go to school at all. Young, bola, They cut school all day and they would show up after school to learn their history. Y llegaba sometimes the principal, he would creep and be like, how are they showing up? I think because they were receiving love from a whole comunidad. And this young man, at his own time, released his pain. And he was talking about the backpacks that he carries that no one sees, and part of what he carries is he's got no mom. And when he opened that poem up, there wasn't a dry room. Like, you got some, like, straight up homies up in the room. ¿Sí o no? Llorando and shit. And it's like, because he was bearing his soul. And I think someone can plant a seed, as my abuelito Angel would say, but you never know when it's going to blossom. Like, I was really mad at this kid for a long time for some of the choices that he made. And the other day, he sends me the most beautiful letter. Shit made me cry. And Nane gets these all the time. He gets them from the Pinta. He gets them from a lot of places. And it's like, man, I thought we planted that seed 6, 7 years ago. But it wasn't my seed to plant. It was his jefita's seed, and it was going to blossom at his time. And look at him now. He's about to finish second year at UC Santa Cruz. He brought some high school students. He's organizing. And he said, I'm going to be like you. So I said, be yourself. And so I think you got to meet kids where they're at and not be so judgmental. I used to be very judgmental. If you were slapping or listening to Mac Dre, I would just judge you and say, why are you listening to this like horrible music? But I wasn't trying to enter their world. So the message that I would give is enter their world, be a little less judgmental, try to understand where they're coming from, and then offer agua. And if they're not ready for the agua, don't get mad, don't get hella hurt. The water's there, and when they're ready to drink it, they're going to drink it. And now he's hella drinking water. Ahí viene la migra. No se crean. No disrespect. No, sorry. No se crean.
For real.
Sorry.
It's like everything, the embodiment of everything that, like, I'm like, no, please don't.
Sorry.
All right, well, we're here to close the ceremony, obviously. I don't even know if these things are on.
This one's working.
Okay, cool. So, before we start, I would like to invite all the members of the Cesar Chavez Committee to come up and join us up here. I see you.
Come on, there's not 3, there's hell of them.
Oh, where are they coming? Oh, they're coming. So, can you hold this for a bit? So we want Cesar to come back up on stage. And we're presenting him with this as a token of our appreciation for coming up here and sharing his wisdom with all of us. You know? Thank you.
Oh yeah, so also we would like to welcome everybody to go to the back. We have tiendita. All the items are handmade items by the interns, so all of us and the rest of us wearing the brown shirts. They're all handmade out. Also, if anybody could stay and help clean up and set up the chairs, that'll be really greatly appreciated. And that's it.
All right, and before we end for reals now, I want to thank all of you guys for showing up to this event. I mean, we put a bunch of hard work, not just us, but the interns as well, and all the people that supported us to doing. But in the end, this was for you, and the fact that you guys came here, give yourselves like a round of applause and shit. All right, you guys can stand up and leave now.
And one last thing, could we give a round of applause to Jose Olivas and Judith Estrada? Without the support, this event would not have been possible. Please.
Thank you for coming, and we hope to see you here again next year.
Good night, everyone. Drive